Welcome to the Will Rogers Motion Picture Festival and the Cherokee Nation Film Office Roundtable discussion on the Oklahoma film industry and native filming in Oklahoma. We're glad you're joining us as we get an inside look on what's happening, growth, and advancements taking place, and how COVID-19 has influenced filmmaking in Oklahoma. I'm your host and moderator for this roundtable discussion. My name is Lee McCormick. I am an actress for stage and screen and also the co-chairman for the Will Rogers Motion Picture Festival. I am also an enrolled citizen of Muskogee Nation. We are thrilled to be joined today by Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation, Chief Chuck Hoskins Jr., Jennifer Lauren, Director of the Cherokee Nation Film Office and Original Content of the Cherokee Nation, Jeanette Stanton, Deputy Director of the Oklahoma Film and Music Office, and Abby Curran, Executive Director of the Tulsa Office of Film, Music, Arts, and Culture. Thank you all for taking the time to be with us today and share your insight into the growth that we're seeing. We have a lot to talk about. The Will Rogers Motion Picture Festival honors Will Rogers, a Cherokee Nation citizen and independent filmmaker. Let's start with the Cherokee Nation, which launched the Cherokee Nation Film Office in 2019. Jennifer, will you tell us about the mission of the Cherokee Nation Film Office?
Sure. Thank you so much to the Will Rogers Motion Picture Film Festival. It's great to be here. And we're really excited about the state of the film industry in the state of Oklahoma and northeastern Oklahoma and the Cherokee Nation. So like you said, we launched our film office in 2019. Thanks to Chief Hoskin here and the administration, who also sees the benefit of this industry in Oklahoma. And we have just been going ever since. And so it often helps people to understand what the Cherokee Nation Film Office does by telling you what our mission statement is. And that mission statement is to increase the presence of Native Americans in every level of the film and television industries while creating opportunities for economic development and jobs in the Cherokee Nation. So we have a lot of initiatives that fit kind of under both of those, the economic development and the increasing of Native Americans in film and television. And a lot of them just go hand in hand. So while we're creating economic development opportunities, we're also, creating a space for Native American representation in film and media. We're really excited to work with films as they consider coming to Oklahoma and northeastern Oklahoma. We have databases on our website, cherokee.film, where people, if you're Native American, not just Cherokee, but any tribe, if you're a citizen of a tribe, you can sign up to be a Native American talent, so actor, actress, background. Also crew members. We also have a film-friendly business database. So those businesses operating in the Cherokee Nation that might have something to offer to a film when they come into town can register on that. And that can be anything from, an accountant to an attorney to a construction company, a caterer, a florist. There's a lot of different businesses that can contribute to the film industry. So, and then we're creating some educational opportunities for people as well through scholarships and working with area film schools. But yeah, we're really excited to be here and be a part of this. So thank you.
Thank you. Chief Hoskin, what role do you see the Cherokee Nation playing in the film and TV industries overall and here in Oklahoma?
Well, I think we'd better play an indispensable role in it if it's going to be successful. I mean, the state of Oklahoma has shown great leadership on it, but I think there's other partners out there that can be very valuable, and I think Cherokee Nation is one of them, and I'm proud of what we're doing. We want to do it, I think, for two reasons, and that's something that motivates us to work hard and put resources into it. So one is developing the economy. If we want to create an economy where young people living in these rural areas or people living in the urban areas have a shot at a new and emerging industry in the state, then the film industry is where it's at. So that's where Cherokee Nation needs to be. If we want to make sure that some of the traditional jobs are still done, and we've mentioned them, carpentry and some of the other things that go on behind the scenes, and then some of the creative arts are developed so that, again, I think about young people getting into a career. You can do all of that in the film industry. And of course, the ripple effect going out from there is important, because if we do something meaningful in the film industry in Northeast Oklahoma, as it's going on all over the state, but if we do it in Northeast Oklahoma, that will really have a great impact on our communities. And that's what we want to see. So one, from an economic standpoint, it just makes perfect sense if we're going to be forward thinking. We've done, I think, a good job at Cherokee Nation in terms of our business portfolio, but we've done it because we've looked ahead. So when there wasn't gaming, we looked ahead to gaming to create the most successful gaming enterprise in the region. We now need to look ahead to something that needs to be developed further, and that's the film industry. Now, here's the other thing, is I think we have an interest at Cherokee Nation in making sure we have a way to sort of capture and tell our story, capture our culture on film and in other media. And I think we can do that if we are a significant player in the film industry. It's not that every film that comes through has to be something that's some authentic Cherokee production. Some of them will be, though, and we can have a role in utilizing our expertise and our partnership to really doing things like preserving our language, telling the stories that have been around for generations. So if I went to Cherokee people and said, what would you say if we had an opportunity to build a great economy in a way that's not been built before, and then also preserve our culture, and it was all really under the same roof, so to speak, and it was the film industry, I think a lot of people get excited about that. And so that's the reason I'm excited about it.
And you've been a strong proponent of the arts for a long time, including film and TV. Can you tell us why?
Well, I think for the reasons that I said. I mean, the opportunities to create economic opportunity for individuals and keep young people, I think, here. That's one of the things I think about is what can we do to keep this generation of Cherokees coming up here in Cherokee Nation? Well, the economy is a big part of that. But I think there's a lot of talented young people over the generations that have left because they wanted to pursue the film industry, other aspects of the creative art, and they didn't see the opportunity here. And they left, and many of them did very well. There's no reason they can't do that here. And I think the generation coming up should be inspired to do that. And I think it's up to us to do it. So that's the reason that I think we need to continue to play a role. And that's why we've done things like create OCO TV, the Emmy award-winning show that talks about the Cherokee people and our stories. That doesn't just tell our story, which is important. It also tells the world that when we do something, well, we do something world-class, first-rate, Emmy-winning. And I think that demonstrates our commitment to creating these kind of opportunities.
That's true. Another important topic to uncover is the importance of accuracy and representation in film and TV. How does Cherokee Nation Film Office play a role in accuracy and representation, Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, real quickly, we've kind of already touched on it, but just to say that, there have been studies that show Native Americans are represented in traditional media and film and television at a rate of less than 1%, and that's just unacceptable. And Cherokee Nation is a leader in Indian country, and so we definitely look to do whatever we can to increase that percentage drastically as much as we can. So, those databases I talked about, increasing the presence of Native Americans in this industry, when we're telling our own stories and we're a part of the storytelling, then, it will automatically increase the representation, what you see on the screen as well.
I'd also like to ask what questions people have about Cherokee people or topics or misconceptions associated with the tribe.
I mean, Chief Hoskin and I could talk about this for a long time, but I can just answer this really quickly and say that, we get all kinds of questions. And one of the great things that our film office is doing actually, especially when it pertains to filmmakers who maybe have a script that has a Cherokee character in it or some sort of a Cherokee theme, is that we can set them up with a consultant who has the knowledge and expertise to steer their script or screenplay in the right direction and make sure that they're representing our people and our tribe and our culture accurately. So, but it runs the gamut.
Jennifer, just to chime in on that, I loved what you guys posted this week on your social media. It was the Disney reference, and it was representation in film and television. And I found that to be extremely impactful, and what you guys are doing has such a a huge reach really globally, right? I mean, and that's what I really love about the mission of your office. And so I just wanted to throw that in there.
But thank you, Abby. And to play off of that, though, really, when you're talking about representation, Jeanette and Abby, I'm sure you all are both seeing this, being, steeped in the film industry, that there is a huge push in the industry for diversity and inclusion. So if anybody else wants to chime in on how that might be affecting production in Oklahoma, feel free.
Well, I mean, just to throw, a lot of stories or projects that I know between me and Jeanette, we're reached out to about, I think our first initial thought is making sure that we help the production tell an authentic story. And so, yes, we are promoting Tulsa and Oklahoma as a viable production destination. But however, when there's those specific stories, making sure we're connecting the dots for our local voices to be included and making sure that those productions are talking to them. And so I think that in general right now we're living in a world where those authentic stories should be talked about clearly, communicated clearly and represented, and it's our job to make sure that they're connected with those local resources.
Absolutely, I agree. Yeah, and that happens very frequently. And as the productions get more elaborate and bigger, they really wanting to really tap into all the resources and meet all the people and talk to all the historians and do everything they can to tell a true story. So I think all three of us do a great job of connecting everybody.
Yeah.
That's good. Jeanette, projects are safely back in production in Oklahoma with COVID-19 measures in place. Let's talk about the projects that are filming in Oklahoma. And we hear that Oklahoma is about to boom. What are we seeing now and on the horizon? Or can you tell us?
Oklahoma is in a boom, I would say. We're not about to boom, we are in a boom. We are at a place right now where we have more film than we do people. So, which is a great place to be. I've been here 6 years, and I can say 6 years ago, and Abby can attest to this because she worked in our office before I did, and there were 4 films, when I first started, and in fiscal year 19, we had 40. So that's a huge jump, and it only keeps getting better and better, and the productions keep getting, it runs the gamut. I mean, like, we'll have, a $500,000 film all the way up to, sky's the limit. And so that's wonderful, and it just creates more jobs, and they just keep coming in. So we are definitely in a place that is unfamiliar territory, and we are doing our best to navigate navigate it in the way that needs to be navigated. Our director, Tava, is doing a fantastic job working with her leadership on figuring out what the next step is, because we need as many resources as we can find, and as many people as willing to listen. And right now it is an amazing time because everybody is listening. And so we're very, very excited for what the future brings. And it's crazy to think about, that Oklahoma is, we have the potential to be, Georgia or New Mexico. And I don't think anyone thought it would happen quite this quickly, but here we are.
I think there's some of us that knew it would happen or thought it would happen. I don't think we thought it would happen this fast. I think
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On that note, with the pandemic, what kind of shifts are we seeing in filmmaking in the area? Abby or Jeanette or Jennifer, are we seeing any shifts in filmmaking because of the pandemic? I mean, is it taking longer to film, or is it what kind of obstacles?
There's definitely lots of policies in place. I can tell you from SAG's perspective, and from IATSE and Teamsters, they have developed their own policies in place that have to be followed. So if you have SAG on a film set, you are following these huge guidelines that can be found on our website and that we've shared for the masses. but it is taking productions longer. It is taking them longer. It is can be more expensive. They're having to reallocate their budgets. There has to be COVID almost teams, if you will, in place. Testing going on daily on some of these productions, depending on which zone you're in. Each department is assigned to different zones. So it is definitely taking longer, but they're getting through it, and they're being safe about it, and they're doing everything they can to be safe and take care of the people working on set. I know the studios are putting, they're moving forward and putting policies in place, and everyone's kind of in their bubble and making it happen. But, it is something, it's been interesting because even through a pandemic, I can say, we received more applications in 1 month than we had ever received ever. So, even though it's taking longer, the pandemic almost gave people a second to think and start applying, thinking about where they wanted to make their movie. So, I mean, it's brought some positive light to Oklahoma, in a strange way. But I would say it's definitely been a learning curve for all of them, all the producers and all the departments and all the keys, but they're doing a great job and they're doing everything they can. So.
That's interesting. Chief Hoskins, in states where the film and TV industries have grown to be successful, the leadership in those states and regions has been key in its development. Obviously, Oklahoma is having a moment right now that could really create a long-lasting, robust industry here. How do you feel about working with our state and local leadership on this front, and how do you see your role in that? You're on mute.
Speechless for a moment. I'm glad to work with the state, and I think one of the advantages the state of Oklahoma has just broadly in terms of its economic potential is that it's a state that has 39 federally recognized tribes, including some of the largest and most progressive and forward-thinking tribes in the country, right here in Oklahoma, and that includes the Cherokee Nation, of course. So part of, I think, our strategy as a state in developing the film and TV industry is to build these kind of partnerships. And so I think our role is to work with the state, and they're already doing a wonderful job, and we can help them do even more. And then I think, and this is particularly thanks to the leadership of Jen Lauren, we're poised to make some investments here in the near term to help with this effort. And I think we're also going across our reservation and looking at these communities where there's beautiful spaces, opportunities to bring the film and TV industry into our reservation. So I just think there's these opportunities out there that working with the state, we can make Oklahoma competitive and we can win when we're competing against other areas, not just our natural beauty, not just the things that we have in place right now in terms of the workforce and the cost of doing business, but the opportunity to have these sovereign Indian nations like the Cherokee Nation that's committed to developing this industry. I don't think there's any other state that can really say that.
That's true. Growing the crew base is an important topic in Oklahoma film. What kind of growth and opportunity are we seeing that is allowing this to happen? For anybody, this is open for anyone to answer. I know of one, the Green Pastures Studio.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff on them. Are there any other places besides, I mean, I know the colleges have film and crew, film school and stuff, but are there any other places besides that? Does anybody know?
Well, the Oklahoma Film and TV Academy, they just opened in September, which is the Greener Pasture Studio. It's the same place. And so they're doing their Film 101, series, which is their podcast series. So where you can listen to, over 16 hours of content from experts in different departments. And then at the end of your listening, you can take a quiz and be certified in that department. So if you're a newbie to it, it is a great way to get started and just to listen to some really great content. And then they're also having in-person classes, which you have to enroll in and apply to be in. and they can walk you through that process. So it's the first of its kind in Oklahoma for sure, where someone can come in at any level. So, I mean, you know, you just graduated high school, or maybe you did 1 year of college and it's not for you, or maybe you have a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, and you've just always been interested in film. You can, or maybe you're recently retired and you've always wanted to do it, you can go there. And it's a 2-weekend training class, and they really give you specialized attention, where help you work on your resume. They make it to where you'll be able to walk on set and know the lingo, so that you're not the odd man out and you know exactly what to do. And then they also walk through with you how to make yourself be a shining star, knowing this much information. So and then they've also been, some productions that are going on right now have also been using their space to film in. So it's a great asset to the state. And so that is definitely a big workforce piece that's being pushed out there. We're currently working with Metro Tech on developing some specific COVID training classes, and hope to release that very soon. And so we've developed a whole page on our website devoted to getting started in film and workforce. So it houses all the, you know, universities, of course, any type of workshops, any type of, you know, certifications that might be out there that are film organizations. And then also will eventually house, we are releasing a series of virtual panels in December, that will go into that section as well, to help train people for free, that anyone can watch. And then we did a series of 13 videos for Dead Center in June, and those will become available on our website as well. And so that'll be just more free content. So I think it's just really getting the word out and pushing that this is an industry you can jump into at literally any skill set, especially now with the pandemic and so many people being affected or out of work. You know, maybe you're a hairstylist and you didn't get your client base back, or you want to do something different. You can take that skill set and work on film. So that's really the message that we're trying to get out there, that we do need people. They're great, fun jobs to have, and you can move up really quickly if you do a great job.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I think Oklahoma Film and Music Office does a great job of trying to get that word out. And I know Abby's team does too with Tulsa FMAC. And that's something that we are also working on through our social media channels, which is the way to communicate with the rest of the world these days. And so we really are making that hard push, and just, we need more people to be talking about, how the film industry is really growing in Oklahoma. And there's a job for anybody out there. Like Jeanette said, we can meet you at any level. You can enter this industry at any level. And so we're gearing up to make a really big push in the Cherokee Nation to get people to open their eyes to the fact that, hey, this is actually an industry that I could work in and I don't have to move to California. And so I think the more people we get talking about that, the better. But our film office is also partnering with Oklahoma Film and TV Academy, Greener Pastures, and kind of supporting, we're really interested in supporting those people who are putting in their investment to create that workforce, that we want to get behind those organizations and help them. And so we're partnering with them and, helping fund some of their projects in exchange for, scholarships for Cherokee Nation citizens. We're doing that also with Oklahoma State University at the Tulsa campus as well, and working on a partnership with them too. So look for more on that in the future for the Tulsa area.
That's great. That's great. It's important to point out that each of your offices features directories for crew and talent, among other things. Abby, do you want to touch on why it's important to get registered and how someone can get registered?
Yes, I know all of us want to push the message. Please find us. And in fact, register for all three. If you apply for all three, make it happen. This is a free resource to everyone. And yes, if you are not involved in the film industry yet, keyword yet, this is a space for you. And so all of our websites house them specifically for Tulsa. Our Tulsa Creativity Database is exactly similar to the other options, but it is a locations directory, locations library, but then a directory for film crew, for musicians, for artists of every medium, and then it's also a creative support directory. So every element that's involved in these creative industries has a home. And if it's not, this is how great it is, we'll create a category for it. So that's where we are. But so we worked really hard to cover, our scope is film, music, arts, and culture. And we want to be able to highlight everybody. There's so much cross collaboration happening, and there's so much collaboration happening within the state. So it's really important for someone to make sure that if they're viable for all three directories, they should be on them. One thing I want to mention too, in terms of Tulsa, to circle back to Jeanette's conversation on reopening, I think a big key component to people knowing what's available in Oklahoma is we were one of the first states to reopen, and the state pushed really hard to create a reopening guideline. And I really recommend everyone check that out. That is a great that's great content and helpful. But then on the Tulsa side, we worked with the Tulsa County Commissioners and developed a film recovery program in August. Actually, this is fresh. No one knows this. We just pulled this information, so I was excited to share it with you all. But so since launching our $90,000 recovery program, which by the way, it has to be used towards COVID-related expenses on a production. And to Jeanette's point, productions are wanting to come to Oklahoma, but now on top of their budget, they're having to consider how much COVID-related expenses that they need to add to their budget. And so this recovery fund helps address that. And since we launched on August 21st, we've approved 4 applications so far. We've allocated $62,000 of that $90K, and that's helped create 320 local jobs for local crew, and generating a little over 1,100 work days with production. And that's also generated over 2,300 room nights in our hotels. So really about that data, that's good for the state. And I know that's just happening in Tulsa. So think about how that is affecting our entire statewide community. So there you go.
That's great.
That's
Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome. With crew and talent in place, that brings us to locations. I think Chief Hoskin touched on that. There are so many unique and diverse ecoscapes in the state that it's just one reason why projects look to film in Oklahoma. Jeanette, can you expand on what you're seeing and how people can see different locations?
Yeah, so, well, there's 12. There's 12 different eco-regions throughout the state, which is really incredible if you think about it. So, when we are approached by filmmakers, I mean, it is pretty much standard. You can find anything you're looking for. If you're looking for the Sahara Desert, we have it. So, I mean, if you're looking for water, I think, we have enough more bodies of water than the country combined. So you can find your water here. So, so we've got diversity when it comes to landscapes is not a problem. I think, as mentioned before, it's just connecting people with the right resources and where to find the right tools. And, we have an amazing production and outreach manager on our staff, Yusuf Kazemi, who his, expertise is locations. And so he has a wealth of knowledge when it comes to finding the right spot. And I know, he reaches out to numerous communities and organizations, constantly, trying to see if it's a viable location for the production. So, again, it's just using the tools that we have and partnering with Jennifer and Abby as much as we can, and all the community leaders, so they can know who we are and what we do, and please share your resources with us. And I will say that kind of brings me to something else. We are developing a film-friendly program that will be launched very, very soon. And the point of it is to be able to showcase these communities from all over the state on our website, to where you can see where it is on a map. You have a slew of questions that, all about this community. and then it's got a contact for that community. So it's giving those communities an opportunity to highlight the resources, and it's also, you know, making the production, they can do it themselves. So we're putting them to work a little bit too, to go out and find those resources. And then of course we're happy to help whenever we can, but we're super excited about that. And we only think it's going to showcase the state more. You know, it's really going to show the state more. And those communities that fulfill our guidelines, they'll then become film friendly certified. So they'll have a little designation saying that, you know, this person, they're good with film coming to their community, and they're happy to help. So the state is really so beautiful. And I think when productions come for the first time, you know, they come back again. I mean, I can't tell you how many repeat clients we have. They come back again because of locations, because of the crew, because of the ease of filming here. You know, everyone is there's so much hospitality. And so when you package that all up together, how you can't say no. And the missing component was a soundstage, and that seems to have that seemed to have happened overnight. So more to come on that for sure.
That's great. Well, our time is almost up. So I was going to see if Chief Hoskin has any last words for us.
Well, I just appreciate all the effort, and it needs to be a team effort, and Cherokee Nation believes in that. I can tell you the impact that having a film office at the Cherokee Nation has on its leaders. I mean, I'm a leader that doesn't come from the creative arts, don't know a thing about the film and TV industry except what Jen Lauren has taught me. And the same is true for our deputy chief, but we've been to 2 places, or reviewed 2 properties within the last month, and we both turned to each other and said, wouldn't this make a great film location? And it's because, you know, it's funny, but it's also because we're thinking in terms we hadn't previously thought in, because we hadn't previously saw a world in which there was an economy built in part on the creative arts, the film and TV industry, and the Cherokee Nation would be such a part of it. But that's true now, and we'll keep it up by keeping our focus on it. So thank you all for the effort in involving the Cherokee Nation.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of the panelists for being with us today. I learned a lot, and thank you for shining a bright light on the light that is happening in film in Oklahoma. Thank you so much, and thanks to everyone at home for tuning in, and you all take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.